Welcome. You're watching Financially Speaking. I'm your co-host, Mark Henry, and I'm joined today with co-founder Dave Allen and managing partner Mike Allen. So if you're new to the show, they're in for a treat today. But it's pretty cool having both of y'all on today.
Morning.
And yeah, thank you. But it's I want the audience to understand y'all are maybe brothers. Is there any truth to that rumor?
I'm the big brother, yes.
You're the big brother. You want to make that clear. I'm the big brother and also the co-founder of the company and, of course, managing partner. You know, when people watch this show, I know they go through their head, and y'all are different. And I'm just going to say it out there. And obviously I am. I'm on here with you, and thanks again for having me on. But different because your firm now is large. I mean, it really is. It's one of the largest firms around, but not in the size of a big box retail type firm.
Correct.
And I love this idea that you're large enough to serve your clients in all areas through estate planning and tax planning and the wealth of information, 30 plus years of experience.
Right.
But you're small enough that you actually service your clients.
Correct. Well, you know, Mark, and Mike and I are both certified financial planners, so we take very seriously the planning process. It's what we do. So that, and our firm has been built on that process. But a little background on our firm is it goes back to, I'm telling you, the mid-'70s. Frank Lavalio, which you couldn't pronounce his name.
I can't. It's Frank. When I do the show with Frank, it's Frank.
Frank L.
Right, Frank L. Frank L. That's right.
Frank L. So Frank and I were friends at 14 and 15 years old. We met playing sports, became good buddies. He lived around the corner from me, and he became a brother. Yep. And then as we went through high school and to college, he played basketball. He's 6'5". Yeah. I'm not, and I can jump about that high.
Yeah.
And so it's okay.
Frank jumps about that.
That's why I'm a financial advisor.
Right. Yeah. That's exactly right.
So, so Frank and I, after college, I got the first job at a big financial firm.
Yep.
22 years old. I worked there 6 months, and my boss said, "Do you have somebody that works as hard as you?" And I said, "I can introduce you to Frank, best buddy for years." He goes, "Okay, bring Frank in." He hired Frank. So Frank and I stayed there around 3 years, 4 years, went through 3 or 4 reorganizations and said, you know what, this is not what we want to do. So then the beginning of Security Financial, formerly incorporated in the early 90s, but we've been one firm. We've grown it to now where we have a great team. We have 20 advisors that actually work with clients. 2 locations. We have Orlando area, which is near Baldwin Park, and people around here know where that is, near Winter Park, right in the middle of town. And then we also have Brevard County, over near Melbourne. We have a very nice office, and we service a lot of clients in there, and that's actually where Mike and I were born and lived and were raised.
Not at the office?
Yeah, we were born in the office.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He was there. You got the experiences. So there you go.
Yeah, we didn't have a hospital then.
Sometimes I feel like I
dirt
live there.
roads.
That's right.
Yeah. No. So Mike and I and Frank were all raised in Melbourne, Florida. So in 2004 we started our Brevard County operation, and it's grown very nicely with everything that's going on with the Space Coast.
To me, what makes me so passionate about doing the show with you, I do this around the country with other advisors and stuff, but with y'all, it's so different because I know, in talking to you and Frank and Mike, that you've reached a point in life where at this point you don't have to do this.
No.
But yet you work every day and you meet with clients personally, still meet with them and take new clients. And plus there's a total staff of 20 advisors plus all the support personnel.
Right.
It's a business. It's a big company now. But you're still passionate about going in and doing this.
We still love what we do every day.
See, that to me is the key difference between what I see out there in y'all's firm. It's not like next. You actually care about these people, and I think the right word might be you partner up with them
through
the retirement journey.
What I love about working with Dave and Frank too is we all have our strengths and weaknesses, and if there's a situation
and what you want to do and what you don't want to do, right?
Yeah, exactly. But we've either hired staff to help us do the things we don't want to do, and also the things maybe we're not the greatest at, like just systems and everything, where the process, helping us establish processes for our clients. Yeah. And also teaching our other advisors how to be good advisors, and we learn from them as well.
I would look for in a financial firm, I'd want them to be large enough so I could come to them and say, hey, I've got this unique situation. Well, the reality is it seems unique to them, but with the experience you three have and the team has, it's not unique to y'all. And that's what I would want. I want to be able to say, look what's happening in my life. This is where I find myself. I just got laid off and I've got this opportunity to get my 401k and move, and I don't know what to do, or I want to buy a beach house and I'm not sure how to pay for it. And should I take it out of my 401 or my IRA? What should I do?
Well, Mark, we work with a lot of the big firms in town, the big Disney's. We have a lot of Disney clients, and unfortunately, there's been a number of layoffs there.
That's so sad.
And some of the
it's a massive employer there that's never had this before.
Yeah, and big executives. In February they were fined, in March they weren't. And so these are executives that have been with companies for 30 years. They have big pension plans.
Sure.
Those are the ones that have pensions. The new ones might not, but the old generation,
grandfathered in, might have one. Sure.
So they have a big decision to make. So they come in, sit with us, or referred to us to help them make these decisions. Do I take the single life only option? Do I choose one option for having benefit to my spouse? So it's a extremely important decision you cannot take lightly. You don't realize how valuable that pension is, and some people just check a box and big mistakes can be made.
I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
So let me ask before we have time, before we have to go to commercial break. Tell me about, like, when I'm trying to, I'm thinking about retiring. I'm not, but let's say I was. I'm not old enough yet, thank heavens. But if
You're 30, right?
Right, exactly. See, thank you. I'm sitting up taller now. Did you see that immediately? You started. Oh yeah, I sat right up. So, but I'm thinking about retiring in 5 years, 10 years, 3 years, whatever it is. So tell me about how I figure out this idea of spending. Like, how much should I spend? Mike, can you help me with that one?
Sure. Basically, you look at what you're paying, you're spending now. Everybody's situation's different. We have clients who project $10,000-$15,000 a month, and then we have other clients who maybe have a lot of money, say they want to spend $3,000 to $5,000 a month.
Okay. So Mike, you're plugging into the plan.
And we plug it into the plan. And what we do is I tell up front, first off, during the process, the financial planning process, clients come in, we tell them what to bring in, the data gathering, their goals and objectives, and then we put the plan together. And I tell them, okay, guys, we're going to tell you if it works, or we're going to tell you if you're crazy. And if you're crazy, we're going to back off and tell you how we're going to get to where you need to be.
But I think about, personally, I would want my financial partner, if that's the right word to say it, to actually be that guiding voice that says, hey, this will work for you. Or, Mark, you need to slow down. This is not heading where you want to go.
That's where the
Isn't
plan,
that what you would count on in your partner?
That's where the plan goes. And we try to, when we put the plan together, we don't give you huge rates of return. We don't. We plug inflation into the picture. And if inflation doesn't happen, it's icing on the cake. But we have a lower rate of return on purpose in the projections. We put a good solid 3% inflation factor in there. So down the road, your amount of money you're going to need each year is going up.
Yeah.
If you don't, it's icing on the cake. But we will look at the probability of success when we plug in all your goals. And there's a lot of goals that sneak up on you. So you have to revisit this plan on an ongoing basis.
And we don't charge every time there's a new plan. If somebody's our client, and they're already paying us, we use it as an ongoing tool for our clients to deal with Social Security questions, risk questions, insurance questions, and just overall plans. So we put the what ifs together.
Planning questions.
Right. And during the meetings,
Amazing.
We often update the financial plan live with them, and I think it's the greatest thing in the world. I love geeking out on it.
I want to hear more about this, but we've got to go to commercial break. But this is still, I want to make sure I've got this right. The next 10 callers that call in, you're agreeing that actually one of y'all might end up sitting with them. I know there's a big firm, but you still see clients, and you might be lucky enough. I think it would be considered lucky. I know you've got a great team.
We actively work with clients.
But you sit with them, and same thing for you, right, Mike?
Right.
Okay, this is an amazing opportunity. We're going to commercial break, but before we go, here's the deal. Write down this number, 877-740-6553. Again, that number, 877-740-6553. It's an amazing opportunity for the next 10 callers that call in now. They've agreed to sit down with you and create your own, not some cookie cutter, somebody else's plan, your very own written financial plan. What an amazing opportunity. Others have charged $1,000, $1,500 or more for something like this. They're going to do it absolutely complimentary, but you have to do one thing. you got to pick up the phone and call. The number to call, 877-740-6553. Stay tuned. We've got so much more coming up on Financially Speaking.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan. This is a $999 value that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have by running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go, and who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review today.
Welcome back. You're watching Financially Speaking. I'm your co-host, Mark Henry, and I've got co-founder Dave Allen, managing partner Mike Allen, and man, we're having a great time. Missing Frank. I wish he was on the show with us, but we're having a good time, and we kind of were laughing between things, but I want to get serious for a second, because when you think about this idea of having a partner, and you have to have someone. There are some do-it-yourselfers, but they find that gets really challenging with the changes of economies and presidential elections and all the COVIDs and everything else. Most people are relying on someone to help them through this journey. Right. But here's one of the things that I've heard around the country. When callers call in, we couldn't even get hold of our advisor on the phone, and they had to call us back 2 days later and stuff during COVID when the markets were going crazy, and that seems to be a going concern.
I'll give you a big example of that.
Please.
We work with a lot of Lockheed Martin clients.
Okay.
And some of the executives, if they have their restricted stock units, they're at a big company.
Sure.
One of the big box companies. They couldn't get a hold of the people in the wealth management. The higher wealth
couldn't even get them on the
department.
phone. I've heard this.
They could send
I've
them
heard
an email.
people that have been with a big box retailer 10 years or whatever, and during COVID they couldn't get them on the phone. So tell me about what it's like if you're actually a client of your firm. Security Financial Management. If I was a client, what would the expectation be on my end? What could I expect?
Well, that's part of when we have a client and they become a client. That's when our job starts. And in many cases, that's when their job stops. Our job starts when we take over that responsibility, and it's a big responsibility that we love. So it's not something we're scared of. We love it. And when we have a relationship with a client, our clients are our friends. And I have one requirement for somebody to be a client: you're a nice person. And
I love that.
If you're a nice person, we're going to find a way to at least give you some guidance.
Okay. You can't obviously work with everyone.
No, we can't.
But
it's got to be a nice fit.
You can still provide help, though.
Oh yes, we can. So once you're a client and we've agreed to work together long term. We do ongoing reviews. And at the beginning, we might say to a client, how often do you want to meet? Mm-hmm. How often do you want to have a conversation? Some that might be living off their income now, we have more routines. It might be 3 or 4 times a year that we either have an in-person meeting, or we, with today's time, a webinar or a phone call or whatever the case may be. Sure. But we're actively involved, and we will honor those periods of time. We have some people that only want to talk twice a year. I don't want to hear it. I've got a long ways to go. I'm just adding to my account. 2 times a year is enough for me. So that's the ongoing, and part of the ongoing review, Mark, is that we re-look at your financial plan at that time. So a financial plan is not one time and you're done, because we all know, look back the last few years, March, the world changed on us. So
Sure did.
Life changed. I mean, now it's even hard to go to a restaurant, right?
Right.
So who'd have thought that?
Right.
Who'd have thought we wouldn't go to the movies anymore?
Right.
Movies are going to be on Netflix now. So who knew that? So as fast as that can change, so can your financial plan. So we look at we gather new information, see if there's been any changes, and say, are we still on track? And that's part of the review process.
So, Mike, if I was a client, and let's say I had, maybe not COVID, but something, is going on. I had this event, and I'm a current client, and I call in.
Okay.
When could I expect to hear back from my advisor? That week? Next week? What would the expectation be?
Generally that day, within the next 24 hours.
Really?
Unless something's going on.
Right.
We have hurricanes in Florida.
Yeah, okay.
There's
No,
a
I
hurricane.
get that. But providing it's not, but like I'm having a hurricane in my life and I want to speak to my advisor, you're telling me I might even hear from him the same day.
You'll normally talk to them right then.
Right then.
Because you work with a team.
I got you.
So if Mike is working with the
I don't know if
client.
y'all realize this. That's not the way it works in the big box retail firms.
No.
That is not how it is. People are watching right now going,
Yeah, so if
that
Mike's
wouldn't
with the
happen with
client,
my guy.
We were really busy in March. I
Sure.
mean, so when that client's coming in, they could talk to Mike. They could talk to one of our other. He might partner up with Steve on a case, or Daniel on a case, and they could talk to both. The
So they
client
could
knows
get
both
their
knows.
questions answered.
And actually, I've
Not just leave a
even
message.
when you have clients that we're not the point guard, so maybe Steve or Daniel or Dave's busy with somebody else doing something else, or just not available. We've fielded calls, helping people with behavioral finance and keeping them in the market with them, just talking them through the crazy world that we are in.
I love how you just said that. We're going to have to go to break in just a minute, but I want to hear more on that real quickly because I've read about it. I've seen people actually do it, something called, you said behavioral finance. I've heard it called emotional investing, emotional. And so we sometimes know we shouldn't do things, but our emotions get the better of us, don't they?
Absolutely.
But if you had a true financial partner, someone that cared about the longevity, the future, and you've told me that you have clients that have been with you how long, Dave?
30 years, 3 decades.
3 decades.
Yeah.
You see, I would want to know if I'm a client, if I'm watching right now, I'd want to know that my advisor, my team, I would be able to call them when I'm potentially making what could be a bad decision, maybe for lack of a better word. I'd want to know that I have someone on the other end of the phone that's going to say, all right, well, hold on a second. Talk me off the ledge. Is that the right way to say it?
Yeah, Mark, what we'll do a lot of times is we always want people to know it's their money, not ours. So we're not trying to make sure you keep the money here just because it stays with our firm. But our job is to give you good guidance on that money. That's what you hired me for. And I can listen to you, and if I feel that there's just so much angst, I have to honor that because I'm not going to fight you on it. But it's my job to give you prudent advice, and then most of the time people will just say you're right, and then we plug that information into the plan and say, we go back to the plan, and your plan still says you're okay. So
we've got to go to break, but here's what you're saying resonates so strongly with me, and here's why it doesn't happen in a lot of firms. Because there is no plan to go back to.
Sometimes, yeah.
That's the there is no plan.
Yeah.
They're based
they don't
on rate of
have
return,
one.
and that's it.
Right, they don't have one, so they can't say, "Hey, let's revisit the plan."
Especially some of
there's
those
not
firms
one.
that market their performance on TV.
Right. Well, we've got to go to break. Listen, I've got something very important for you, and it's a phone number. 877-740-6553. Again, that's 877-740-6553. Today is the day for you to take control to build yourself a confident financial future. Stop procrastinating. You know you need it. They've agreed to take the next 10 callers and sit down with you personally and meet with you and help create your very own comprehensive financial review, including providing you with a written financial plan. This has got to be $1,000, $1,500 value or more, and they're going to give it away absolutely complimentary. But you have to get off the couch and do something today. You have to make the important phone call, 877-740-6553. Stay tuned. We've still got a little time left on Financially Speaking.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Welcome back to Financially Speaking. I'm your co-host, Mark Henry. I'm joined, of course, with co-founder Dave Allen and his brother and managing partner, Mike Allen. Guys, this show has gone by so fast, but I've still got some important stuff I want to talk about. This is an unscripted show, but I want to jump into some really important topics. So, you know, I hear all the time about, you know, I get this comment all the time. A couple has their first child and they want to go immediately set up a 529 plan, exactly. Save for college and all that. And one of the things that struck me was when you said, you know, Mark, all those things are important. We deal with everything for our clients. But in life, while people might want to pay for their child's education, I heard you very clearly off camera when you said, you know, what we want to make sure is first, most people would agree, they never want to be a burden to those children in retirement. So you said, I like people to take a step back and let's talk about making sure you're on track. In other words, putting yourself first. Mike, when you said, you know, putting the client first is actually how they put their children first. Because while paying for college might be important, not being a burden is actually more important.
Right. It's like going on the airplane.
And I love that, right?
You put the oxygen on yourself first, then your kid.
It's a balancing act.
It is a balancing act. So tell me about, you know, as clients, I have children. So they wouldn't have enough money to work with your firm, let's say, obviously. They don't even have any money a lot of times.
Your children?
But they're getting, to start out with. I mean, come on, they got to start somewhere.
Sure.
But let's say they're joining, getting that first new job or something. So if I was your client and I called in and I said, hey, you know, Junior just got this big job, but he doesn't know what to do. He knows how to do the job, but he's concerned about his financial future. What would you say to me? Well, you know, good luck or...
Yeah, so I have a perfect example of that. Just a couple weeks ago, one of my clients said, my son just got his first job.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about.
And he wants to get set up right. I didn't know anything about him. I'd never met him. But once we started talking, we did a Zoom call, and it just felt like I knew him. The kid was so on it. He was living at home. His game plan is to live at home for a couple years.
Love that,
smart. And then get himself set up to get his own apartment or buy a house. So what I did is I just started asking him questions. Initially I said, well, let's do a plan.
So did you actually meet with him?
On the Zoom video.
Okay. Yeah,
so we
sure.
did. It was
wow.
And basically I said, okay, what do you have? What are your expenses now? His expenses are like $800 a month, maybe.
I love those days.
And so and he said,
felt like a lot then.
He said, I'm really sucking a lot of money in my 401k right now. And I'm like, really? Okay, tell me more. And I said, well, why don't we back off on the 401k? You want to get a new car? So I put down the goals. And again, we didn't need to do a big fancy plan for him. It was just setting up a good foundation. And we had it set up where he's going to be able to save about $50,000, be ready to go, and also still fund his 401k, at least going to the match, taking advantage of that match.
Sure, of course.
Mike, let me add to that a little bit. So what we do is your children are an extension of you. So any question a kid has or the parents have for the benefit of their kid, we will field all of those questions. We, like Mike said, we meet with them in person. We'll have phone conversations with us. We ask them all their information. They are the family. We deal with, they're part of your household.
And even though we're not making any money.
I don't know that y'all understand how special that makes your firm security, financial management. But I got to tell you, that's not happening with most big box firms. You know, they'll talk to you, but they don't have time, and they're not. I don't want to say they don't care, because these are good men and women. I know a lot of them. But their job, because they're not independent, they have a quota, they have this pressure to take next, get you in and get out next. And that's not who you two are at all.
In fact, some of these firms have actually stopped paying advisors if the accounts are under $250,000. So,
wow.
So why do you have any interest in that anymore? $250,000 is a lot of money for somebody.
Sure.
And if somebody,
it's a lot of money to me. That's a lot of money for anybody.
If they quit paying your advisor, what's the client have to do? They send them to an 800 number, call center, or they have to leave. So that's important.
I got to tell you guys, one of the things, and we're going to run out of time, but one of the things that attracted me so much to co-hosting and be on the show with you was, Dave, you made a comment once that, most firms your size are going to have some minimum that you have to have $1 million, $2 million to work with you and all. And you looked me in the eye and you said, Mark, we choose our clients based on who we want to work with.
That's correct.
I want the audience to hear that, because that's not normal. And it's okay, because you know what? Not everybody's meant to work with everybody. I totally get that. But I'd like to think if I'm watching, whatever I have is as important to me as what somebody else has is to them.
No doubt. And
not the dollars, just it's my money.
Team.
Yes.
And we have somebody that might be a young person. We'll match them up with one of our young millennial advisors.
So they can. It's more. They can work with them for a longer time period too, right?
Correct.
Because you told me when you take clients, you're really taking them with this idea that they'll be with you like some of your clients, which is 3 decades, maybe going to be 4 soon.
We hope.
That's the plan, isn't it?
That's our best client, is because they become our friends and we stay with them long term, and they know us, we know them.
See, I would want to have that. We're going to have to go to the final break of the day, and we're running out of time, but you two have really got something special with Security Financial Management. And for the viewing audience, you've got an opportunity in front of you to get a second opinion on what you're doing, to get maybe a first opinion, an actual written financial plan. It's absolutely complimentary. I can't say that enough. But you have to take action. You have to get up off the couch or walk through the kitchen and grab your cell phone and dial this number, 877-740-6553. Again, that number is 877-740-6553. It's 2021. Get what you know you've needed for years. An actual written financial plan. You need to call now. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you found the information useful and helpful.